Jingawala and welcome to Tales of the Tweed. My name is Arabella and I'm here with you every Wednesday morning at 10:30, and we have been talking about Aboriginal seasonal calendars. And just to remind you, we started at the end of January, and of course we were talking about the season of Nungalgiri, the summer, and then we went into the season of Bamtu, which is the season of bloodwoods, late January, early February. Last week we spoke about the season of Yaga, the season of wind, and today we're going to speak about Warrigan, which is a season of Wangara, flowers, the Aboriginal word or the Minyamba word for flowers. Now the winter season begins in June and then ends late July. So after the season of Yaga, in which you start to get those nice kind of cool afternoons and the wind starts to feel a little bit more icy, you then move into the shortest days. Seas and nights are cooler, peak numbers of east coast lows occur, rainforest pigeons are feeding on camphor laurel fruit, and whales can be seen migrating north along the coast. Sea brooms start to spawn, pink nectar is the time for honeyeaters feeding on the masses of the banksia flowers. Froglets are calling, tuckaroo are flowering, red gums start to flower, and reptiles start resting up. The Jiran in the night sky, or the Seven Sisters, or the Greek Pleiades, can be seen in the eastern part of the early morning sky and shines more and more brightly throughout this season. It's actually the season of the constellation known as the Seven Sisters, in which we as Minyamba people and this part of the eastern seaboard share and connect a star lore story all the way across the continent to people in the west over near Kurrajini National Park or near Tom Price. So that's basically parallel to where we are on the coast, or the Tweed Coast and Gold Coast. Imagine a line all the way across, and it's in that line that you start to see the Jiran or the Pleiades Seven Sisters at night. So throughout the season of Warrigan, remember to look up, observe the evening and night sky, and you'll see the constellation known as the Seven Sisters. The story revolves or is told from the perspective of sisters being pursued by men on the ground, and it's the inappropriate marriage or the wrong marriage. So the story or the mythology behind the Pleiades is that in that pursuit, her sisters grab the young woman who's being pursued and push her up into the sky, and it creates the stars or the Seven Sisters. And it's a reminder of women embracing and reminding each other that they come from stars and they belong to the stars. The story can be quite complicated and told in a longhand form, but that's the shorthand version of that story. We will spend a month this year talking about Aboriginal mythology and Aboriginal constellations as we move in to that period of time, so in the June, July. So I do hope that you will join me then to have a special series on Tales of the Tweed, which actually talks about constellations. So again, to repeat, we are in the season of Warrigan. That's what we're speaking about at the moment. It begins in the June and the July period. It's known as the season of Wangara, which is winter flowers. So you're going to observe some really interesting winter flowers in this season. But the other thing that you need to look out for and start to decode, I guess, is to have a look at star constellations in the winter period and really start to observe those. By the time that happens, because this season is now in February, this is in the Bamtu season, by the time that June and July comes around, I'll be able to explain more about what's occurring in the sky, so that you can actually go out at night and have a look. It's also the season of salmon and guyong, which is our sea mullet, which is in the winter season. So they're fat and they start to have great movement. In the bush, you're going to see lots of lizards. They're still really fat and a lot of them are still in hibernation. But a lot of plant food is still available, even when the southeast winds begin to blow really strongly. You will see some rain, but not enough like the season that we're experiencing at the moment in the end of Nungalgiri, which is the thunderstorm and lightning season. So you're not going to see the same type of rain, so it's not going to be as heavy. You will see some rain in winter, but it's in fact a different type of rain than the rain that you're experiencing at the moment. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about the 6 seasons in the Aboriginal calendar. Next week, we'll actually talk about the season known as pre-spring, which is our season of kutju. So that's really an interesting season because it's the season of the pre-winter and the pre-spring, which are slotted in to the Aboriginal calendar that give you a slight variation on the 4 seasons that people are familiar with. So next week when we listen to the show, I will start to be talking about the season of kutju and the season of pre-spring, which begins in the late July period and goes through into the August period until the beginning of September, when we move into the honeybee period. And the honeybee dreaming and the honeybee stories are really interesting. And so next week's show is going to be a little bit longer because we're going to wrap up with both the pre-spring and the spring season. If you would like to learn more about Aboriginal culture and the seasons, or information that's particularised to this region, please have a look at our website, currycountry.com. Offer 3 programs at currycountry.com that focus on education. One is a family focused program, so that's the general Curry Country education program. We offer a specific program on native foods, which is fun and interesting for chefs and cooks alike. And we also have the Thinker Circle, which is a program that I lead. I also take out private groups and have curated food experiences. If you are interested in food, I'm also going to be at the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival at the end of March, so you can jump onto the Melbourne Food and Wine Festival and have a look at the program, where I'll be talking about the trade routes between us here in southeast Queensland and far north New South Wales, and the trade routes that travel all the way into Melbourne, or into Naarm, which is the traditional name for Melbourne. If you're interested in native foods, I suggest you hop online or follow us on Facebook as well, so Curry Country Native Foods. You can order online. We're at all the local markets every weekend, or you can buy online from us. And if you'd like to have a look at the education programs, or come and join us on the river for a curated program, please have a look at our website, currycountry.com. It's been wonderful to speak to you today. I hope you're enjoying learning more about the Aboriginal seasons. Next week, join me for the last week of Aboriginal seasons, where we're going to be talking about kutju in the season of spring, 10:30 next Wednesday on 101.3 for Tales of the Tweed. Boogle Bear.